Welcome back. Defense Department leaders say eventually the U.S. military will open its Joint All-Domain Command and Control System to share information with its allies and partners. Those allies and partners, though, could be headed in very different directions when they make decisions about the fleets that will interact with the U.S. military. Brian Burton's an international business development specialist in the Defense, Space, and Security Division at Boeing. He's former advisor to two members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he's writing about the future of fighter aircraft programs in war on the rocks. His views are his own and not those of his employer. Brian, welcome. Thanks very much for coming on the program. What difference does it make to us what equipment our allies and partners buy?
Well, it's a great question, Francis, and I'm really happy to be on with you. I think it's important to recognize that our allies are making some very important decisions over the next few years about major investments in their future fighter aircraft fleets. And the way that they will design those, the requirements that they will put on them, and ultimately, will shape the military capabilities that they have for decades to come. And from the U.S. perspective, we put a lot of emphasis on our alliances, the importance of being able to interoperate with allied forces. And so from that perspective, it's very critical that as our allies develop future fighter aircraft, as well as other future systems, that the U.S. government takes a proactive role in working with our allies to ensure that we can interoperate together and that the capabilities that our allies are investing in are relevant for future combat situations.
What is the right balance between asking, suggesting, pressuring those allies to buy the same stuff we have and working with them on a more collaborative basis to say, we'd like to know what you're getting so that we can help you build the systems to communicate with us and us with you?
So I think the collaboration is critical and probably the aspect that we don't do enough of, especially when you talk about high-end systems like future fighter aircraft. And I think really we would benefit a lot if the U.S. government would lean forward much more in terms of sharing information with our allies about future threat data, sharing the direction that we're going, as you mentioned, on systems and concepts like JADC2 that are going to be so important for interoperability in the future. Look, I mean, the allies that I'm talking about in the article are really some of our most capable and advanced allies: Japan, the UK, France, Germany. They have robust and sophisticated industrial bases, and they, very understandably want their industries to play a lead role in the development of these systems. So it doesn't make sense for the U.S. to go in and say, well, you have to have the same aircraft we have in this situation, but it does make sense for us to work with them to ensure that we have a common understanding of requirements, general common understanding of what types of technologies will be required, and that we can, potentially co-invest and co-develop certain aspects of these future fighters so that we have kind of similar interoperable capabilities that still allow our allies to tailor the platforms that they use for their specific situations.
The good news, it sounds to me too, is that those allies that you just listed are some of our closest allies with some of our strongest relationships, who also, because of geopolitical issues, are some of the most highly motivated to want to cooperate and collaborate with us, Brian.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think, we should really recognize that countries like the UK, Japan, they face many of the same operational challenges in terms of increasingly capable adversaries that we're concerned about. And so there's really, I think, a great opportunity here as all of these allies, as well as the U.S., start to develop future combat aircraft to come together around at least some general understandings of requirements and the path forward on the way that we design and develop these aircraft in the future.
You write to wrap this piece up, Brian, continuing the current approach to Allied future fighter programs will hinder the development of U.S. allies' defense capabilities at a time when the United States needs them to be stronger than ever. Where are we going wrong, and what fixes that in the coming months and years, Brian?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And the way that I would sort of characterize it is we still have an export control process that is built around the idea that we need to kind of maintain a close hold on our most sophisticated technologies. And my argument is that in a sort of great power competition environment, any technological advantage that we gain is going to be fleeting when you're talking about the sophistication of some of our adversaries. So the way that we can make up for that is by doing more to leverage the industry and ingenuity of these very sophisticated allies that we have. And the way that we need to do that is by coming to the table with an extended hand in the form of some concrete proposals for cooperation, rather than kind of crossed arms and maintaining kind of business as usual in terms of a tightly held export control process.
Brian, thanks very much for joining me. It's great to have you on the program.
Thanks so much, Francis.